This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news. It's Friday, October 24th, 2025, and here are today's stories. Hundreds of thousands of Australians finally get justice with the country's largest class action settlement, revealing the human impact of government mistakes. Europe's plastic recycling industry is collapsing, raising urgent questions about whether recycling can survive without major policy changes. A family's stone-walled rice terrace shows how tradition and innovation can create sustainable, high-quality harvests for future generations. You know those uncomfortable benches and spikes under bridges? They're part of something called hostile architecture, turning public spaces into obstacles for the most vulnerable. Star-shaped concrete structures along Romania's Black Sea coast are protecting communities from powerful storms, a testament to local ingenuity. And from soaring sand dunes to turquoise waters, the Canary Islands offer breathtaking natural landscapes that demand to be explored. The Australian government has agreed to a $548.5 million settlement, the biggest class action payout in the country's history. The money comes after years of controversy over Robodebt, a program that wrongly claimed hundreds of thousands of people owed money. This case isn't just about money, it's about the lives affected and the government failures that caused it. The year is 2016, and Robodebt was about to become one of Australia's most infamous welfare scandals. It all started when Centrelink, the agency responsible for security payments like unemployment benefits, pensions, and family support, decided to use an automated system to flag supposed overpayments. The system compares income reported to the Australian Tax Office with payments made by Centrelink. On paper, it sounds efficient, but in reality, it is deeply flawed. And the worst part? Even though government officials were warned the system was deeply flawed and likely to cause problems, they decided to push it ahead anyway, ignoring the risks to ordinary Australians.
There was a whole lot of debts that were going to go out that were fully automated. So no human being had looked at these. Robodebt was raising a debt on the raw tax office data. We knew that the raw data with the tax office was actually next to useless when it came to raising a debt. You couldn't rely on it because the tax office isn't interested in whether you worked 6 weeks there, 3 weeks there, 4 weeks there. All they're interested in is what was paid in the financial year. These were manufactured debts. They didn't exist because we knew a discrepancy does not mean a debt. It was almost like the letters were designed so that people wouldn't reply. Trust us, it's a debt, please pay. I thought, someone's got to have some humanity and understanding. So I sent an email. My concerns are that this directive will result in an increase in admin error waivers and unnecessary appeals. It goes against duty of care, and as a compliance unit, we should not be the ones stealing from our customers. We are being asked to ignore evidence that no debt exists and to collude in raising a debt when none should exist. Big bold letters and underline, you are asking us to commit a fraudulent act.
The Australian government initially claimed the Robodebt scheme aimed to recover more than $4 billion in alleged welfare overpayments from current and former Centrelink recipients. Approximately 443,000 Australians received these notices. The reaction was swift and intense. The public response included protests, media campaigns, and legal challenges. Advocacy groups and legal aid organizations highlighted the human cost of the scheme, sharing personal stories of hardship and injustice. Imagine the government telling you you owed money you hadn't received or had already reported accurately. In some cases, the government deducted the alleged debt directly from people's bank accounts, leaving them struggling to pay rent, bills, or buy essentials. The psychological toll was severe, with anxiety, sleepless nights, and depression common. And in some tragic cases, the stress contributed. The scale of Robodebt's failure finally came to light in 2019 with the 990 report. It confirms what people had feared all along. The automated system was badly flawed, sending out thousands of debt notices to people who didn't owe a cent. The government pushed ahead with the program anyway, using income averaging without checking if the debts were real, and left ordinary Australians to deal with the fallout. After years of stress and financial hardship, the people affected by Robodebt are finally seeing a major step toward justice. In September 2025, the government announced a $548.5 million settlement, the largest class action payout in Australian history. The settlement provides refunds for wrongly claimed debts, compensation for the harm caused, and coverage of legal costs, offering hundreds of thousands of Australians a long overdue measure of recognition and relief. This follows the $1.2 billion settlement in 2020, which covered repayment of unlawful debts and legal costs for affected Australians. While that earlier payout addressed some financial restitution, the latest settlement underscores the scale of the wrongdoing and the government's acknowledgement of the harm it inflicted.
Felicity is just one of some 450,000 Robodebt victims.
People that have gone through divorce, become bankrupt, irreparable mental health issues that have stemmed from this.
The mother, relying on welfare payments while studying to be a nurse, then slapped with an $11,500 debt that she didn't owe. Today, justice.
Justice prevailed, and for the first time, I think, in my whole life, I can say that there was a bit of fairness.
The Robodebt saga is a powerful reminder that ordinary people can hold governments accountable, even in the face of large, complex systems. After years of uncertainty, stress, and injustice, hundreds of thousands of Australians stood together, demanded answers, and won recognition for the harm they endured. European plastic recycling is facing some serious problems. Mechanical recycling plants are closing down at an alarming rate, with even more expected to shut their doors in 2025. This is mainly because of high energy costs, crazy resin prices, import pressure, and confusing sustainability rules. Experts are questioning if plastic recycling could ever be self-sustaining or compete with new plastic without strong policy intervention. Turns out, recycling uses a lot of energy. When power prices climb, recycled materials get way more expensive, making it tough for them to compete with cheaper, brand new plastics. When energy costs are high, plants scale back production or even shut down, which means less recycled stuff is available. That keeps prices high and pretty much pushes everyone back to using virgin plastics. Virgin plastics are more abundant and typically less expensive. According to global research, in 2022, the world produced nearly 10 times more virgin plastic than recycled polymer. Also, fluctuating oil prices and global oversupply can make virgin plastic even cheaper, widening the price gap. This isn't just a Europe problem, it's happening everywhere.
Being in the recycling industry for many years, people would oftentimes say to me, if recycled plastics were cheaper, people would be buying it. It's a capitalist country, it's a free market, virgin plastic is cheaper, that's why people buy it. You environmentalists, figure out how to make recycled plastics cheaper and people will buy it. And I would say, well, wait a second, you just said capitalist system, free market. That's not what we're operating in. They go, of course we are, it's America. I go, the oil and gas industry gets billions of dollars of federal and state subsidies every year. That keeps the price of virgin plastic artificially low. In order to actually have a free market and practice capitalism, you would need to give the recycled plastics industry hundreds of billions of dollars to just equal the playing field to actually allow the customer to choose based on price. We haven't been practicing capitalism at all. We'd actually been practicing, let's allow special interests to donate to politicians who then make sure that money comes back to those special interests in their industries to influence price.
In Europe, the plastics recycling market is impacted by a flood of cheap new plastic from China, the Middle East, and the US. This makes it impossible for more expensive recycled plastic to compete, further distorting pricing and hindering local recyclers. These combined cost pressures have already led to the cancellation or pausing of major recycling investments by leading companies such as Dow, Borealis, and Neste. Another significant issue in plastic recycling is the lack of information regarding the original plastic's composition. This leads to low-quality recycled material because its contents are unknown. Entrepreneurs aiming for high-quality products often avoid recycled content due to this uncertainty. This highlights a common misconception about recycling. The current industry struggles to truly turn one product into an identical new one.
I think some people might see recycling as the silver bullet solution to plastic waste. Not only do they see that we might just eliminate plastic waste completely, but we might be able to stop producing more of it in the first place. Maybe we can just get into this closed loop where we recycle plastics over and over and over again. Unfortunately, this is not the reality. Recycling can help. When you recycle a product, it can be produced into another product. But I think what's really key to highlight here is that you're often recycling it into a lower value product. The plastic waste bottle that you recycle is not then recycled and reused as another plastic waste bottle. It tends to be ground down and used into lower value products, like maybe in a floor tile or other compositions of different plastics. That means that ultimately your recycled plastic bottle will ultimately end up in landfill. It'll just be recycled maybe a few times along the way.
The European Union has rules in place to help. For example, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation pushes companies to use more recycled materials. Also, extended producer responsibility makes businesses pay for their products' full life cycle, including its recycling. However, these rules often aren't enforced very well. Globally, things are just as messy. The UN Plastics Treaty talks are stuck because countries can't agree on whether to just make less new plastic or focus on recycling what we already have. Maybe we just need to get serious about how plastic is designed from the beginning. If products were made to be easily recyclable from the get-go, we wouldn't be in this situation. Until we tackle that, plastic recycling will keep hitting those bumps in the road.
UNN Field Messenger Atsuko shares the inspiring story of her uncle, who built stone-walled rice terraces that blend tradition and innovation, producing sustainable, high-quality rice for future generations.
Hello, this is Field Messenger Atsuko, reporting for United Network News from Gujo, Hachiman, Japan. 今回は私のおじさんが行っているお米作りについてお伝えしたいと思います。ここは以前にお伝えした郡上踊りで有名な郡上八幡から車で20分のところで、江戸幕府を揺るがした郡上一揆の百姓の地です。山のきれいな清流を直接田んぼに引き入れて米作りをしています。雨が少なくても水が枯れることはまずありません。以前は桑畑だった斜面を作付け面積を減らさないために石垣で囲って平らにしました。おじが一人で10年かけて完成した段々田んぼです。
ここはね、下へ掘れば掘ればほど、こういう石が出てくるんですよ。ほんで、こんだけの石を集めたなって言わせるけど、掘れば出てくるもんだから、もう石ばっか。
おじ曰く、子供や孫が草刈りなどで手間がかからないよう、重機を使い、この地で掘り起こした石で、この石垣を作り、田んぼを囲ったそうです。
自分が嫌なことは、子供でも嫌だし、孫でも絶対嫌な。で、それを思いながら、この、さっきの休憩者のところに石垣を積んだっていうのもそういうことある。忙しくない時、農閑期の時にやったもんだから、10年ぐらいかかってるね。ずーっと積んでもらって、自分一人でやってるから、石を釣って、こうやって重機の運転席に戻った頃には、また向きが変わってるんです。それと繰り返しをやりながら、わかるけど、こんな大きな石を一人で全部進まれた。そんで日数はかかってます。
ここではお米を収穫した後も乾燥から精米、保存まで全て一人でできるようにシステムが組まれています。美味しいお米を作るため、一人でも作業が楽にできるように、おじらしく細部にわたって工夫したのです。
この地区のみんなが美味しい米が同じように作れるように、そういう組織立ち上げて、で今15、6人で今度も22、3日に集会やるんだけど、そこで僕はこうやったらこれくらいの米ができたとかっていろんなことを話し合って、でお互いに切磋琢磨しながら美味しい米美味しい米って、そうやってやっていくよ。
9月の半ばになって、おじの段々田んぼも稲穂が黄金色に輝き始め、300年以上の歴史を持つ太鼓踊り、鹿の水の掛け踊りも行われました。地域の平安、豊作、雨乞いの祈りが込められた伝承文化です。さあ、掛け踊りが終わるといよいよ、黄金色に輝く段々田んぼのお米の収穫を迎えます。私は、おじが作るお米を食べるとき、その一粒一粒に深い愛情を感じます。新米を食べるのが楽しみです。おじは私の母の妹の旦那さんなので血はつながっていません。でも、創意工夫に富んで、自主独立の道を歩み続けるその姿を見ていると、かつて家族や村を守るために、危険を顧みず、立ち上がった郡上一揆の人々の子孫であることを実感します。This is Field Messenger Atsuko reporting for United Network News from Gujo Hachiman, Japan. Thank you for watching.
At New Earth Innovations, we search the planet for nature's most powerful healers. This took us all the way to the coast of New Zealand. Our Omega 369 Plus is made from the Perna greenlip mussel, rich in omegas, chondroitin sulfate, and rare glycosaminoglycans. The Perna is one of nature's powerhouses. Support joint flexibility, easier breathing, better digestion, and a calmer, less inflamed body, naturally. Grown in clean New Zealand waters. Backed by nature, sustainably sourced, trusted by thousands. Subscribe today and start feeling the difference.
Hi everyone, this is Leanne.
And I'm Jerry.
Coming to you from Tamworth, New South Wales.
Hi there, this is Rick from Arizona.
My name is Uchechukwu Obenebam from Igbo tribe, Nigeria.
Hi, this is Scott from Utah.
I'm Annette from Agassiz, British Columbia.
Hi, I'm Marcus Surzet from Manipur State, India.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. That's what United Network News is all about.
Can you clap?
We had a huge flood, which some call the flood of the century.
No fake news here. Our field messengers share personal experiences of what's really happening in their community.
We got some nice fish right here.
At UNN, you are the news.
My family and I had a very good time.
Take the next step. Become a UNN field messenger and share the real news with the world.
In the northwest province of South Africa, I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News, and if it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's going to be, it's up to me. If it is going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to us. Field Messages, United Network News. See you next time.
You've probably noticed those perfectly uncomfortable benches with armrests every 6 inches. Or maybe the jagged spikes conveniently placed under bridges that would otherwise provide a bit of shelter. This is called hostile architecture, also known as anti-homeless architecture. It ensures public spaces are anything but welcoming, especially for the most vulnerable. It is a masterclass in subtle cruelty, turning simple acts like sitting or resting into privileges rather than basic human rights. Hostile architecture is basically when public spaces are designed to stop people from resting, sleeping, or even just hanging around. For people experiencing homelessness, this means even fewer spots to catch a break. It really feels like an out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach, as if finding housing and shelter isn't hard enough. Now even public spots for resting are disappearing. You see it everywhere. In the U.S., many cities use benches with bars and curbs. Japan uses loads of bike racks and underpasses to stop people from camping out. And in Spain, some banks install big concrete posts around ATMs where homeless individuals used to seek cover. It's a worldwide thing, making life extra tough for people already struggling. Some designs are super obvious, while others try to blend in as fancy decor. But no matter how they look, the goal is always the same: push people out and keep public areas neat at any cost to humans.
There are far more egregious versions of this in New York City alone. For example, the strange installations over subway ventilation covers and storm grates on sidewalks in Queens. The city claims them to be aesthetic benches that facilitate public rest, as well as fulfilling the primary purpose of your average subway ventilation grate. But they're not aesthetically pleasing, and because of their warped design, they're not comfortable to sit on either. So what do they really accomplish? Well, heat rises from these ventilation systems, and if you were living and sleeping on the streets, you might want to lay on top of one of these regular flat grates for warmth, especially through the cold winter nights of New York. With this new design, that would be impossible, because it seems the city would rather see the homeless population die of hypothermia under a bridge and out of sight than staying warm and alive on a sidewalk, but closer to those of us with high economic status. But this is just one specific exemplification of countless egregious instances of city planners designing modern architecture against the homeless. If you walk through the streets in any given first world city, you might notice large metal spikes on windowsills or doorways meant to deter loitering, a random assortment of boulders or a dense pallet of small bumps inconveniently placed under a bridge, fencing around a source of heat, and public resting areas which are divided into segments too small for average adult frames. These are all proof of the same concept. Governments are more concerned with burying the image of poverty rather than solving it. They believe if homelessness is out of sight from the public, it's completely out of mind. And by forcing these people to retreat to less desirable areas where public spaces are less hostile, they believe they're creating a better experience for the upper class who live in wealthy areas.
Homelessness is dangerous and isolating. The UK Single Homelessness Project organization points out hostile architecture just makes it worse. It takes away any chance of rest and treats people like pests, not humans. This stuff doesn't actually solve homelessness. It just pushes people further away from support, making their lives harder and more dangerous. Often, hostile architecture goes hand in hand with laws that criminalize rough sleeping, such as the UK's Vagrancy Act. Instead of helping, many places just tell people to move along rather than providing real support to get them off the streets for good.
If these kind of design choices of hostile architecture are becoming more and more prevalent, how much is all of this costing us? Well, despite scouring all of the corners of the far-reaching parts of the internet, I found that there actually wasn't a comprehensive study that looks at this from a monetary standpoint. But public knowledge is that in 2021, the city of Portland alone spent approximately $500,000 installing anti-homeless benches around just one park. So if we suppose that each of the US's 795 major metropolitan cities spend $500,000 installing anti-homeless furnishings, which, let's be honest, is probably a low estimate given how common these things are, that equates to just shy of $400 million spent making homeless people uncomfortable. I mean, imagine the headway we could make if we took that same amount of money to help homeless people not be homeless, or start to address these systemic issues affecting them, such as wage inequality and affordable housing. A recent major report by the International Monetary Fund found that over the past 3 decades, more than half of all countries and close to 90% of advanced economies have seen an increase in income inequality, and that vulnerable groups such as children and pensioners are amongst the hardest hit. And I think this is something that more of us should be recognizing within our own cities. Because for many of us, homelessness and poverty are not these abstract concepts anymore, but something that is increasingly on the fringes of our everyday reality.
Hostile architecture is a growing issue impacting more than just the homeless. It affects everyone. While it's often seen as targeting specific groups, it also creates challenges for the elderly, people with disabilities, those with mental health concerns, and even children. For example, removing public seating limits accessibility for many, making it harder for people to complete everyday tasks like going to appointments, shopping, or working. It's also a huge hassle for anyone with little ones in tow or those who need a quick sit down. Hostile architecture excludes and discourages, making public spaces less welcoming and functional for all. You can help by speaking out against it on social media or in community forums when you see it. Everyone deserves respect, and public spaces should be for everyone. Cities should be designed with compassion, not exclusion, and build spaces that lift people up instead of pushing them down.
Romania's unique star-shaped concrete structures, called Stabilopods, protect the Black Sea coast from powerful storms. Proving local ingenuity can create effective solutions. UNN Field Messenger Monica shares their fascinating story.
Hello, this is Field Messenger Monica, reporting for UNN from Romania. Since I was a child, I've walked along the Black Sea promenade countless times. Lining the shore, I have often noticed the star-shaped concrete structures having 4 supports fitted with triangular ends, called Stabilopods. These man-made sea walls arose from the specific need to protect the coast from powerful swells in areas with strong storms. The Stabilopod is an engineering fit to control the power of the seas and oceans. A builder might call it the brick of hydraulic engineering, and a poet might call it the star that tames the tide. At the beginning of the 1960s, the development of Constanza's tourist and leisure harbor on the Black Sea began. A solution had to be found to protect the buildings from waves. In France, a wave-dissipating concrete block called a tetrapod was engineered to enforce coastal seawalls and breakwaters. It was a truncated cone without legs that interlocked one with the other. Unlike the Romanian Stabilopod, the French tetrapod solution was not suitable for the Black Sea. The storms reach a force of 7 or 8 meters, much higher than in the Mediterranean, and the breakwaters must withstand them. Engineer Mircea Uluban came up with the idea for the Stabilopod when he noticed how bunches of grapes, emptied of grape berries, cling to each other. Taking all the parameters into account, the young engineer imagined a concrete structure that would naturally cling to its neighbors no matter their position. Uluban worked alongside Mircea Lateș, an engineer who conducted all the laboratory experiments. It was concluded that the triangular ending was optimal because it allows the Stabilopods to hang together while leaving enough space for the waves to break and lose their strength. Romania's coastal line would be inconceivable without these star-shaped concrete blocks that have protected the breakwaters from Black Sea storms for over 60 years. The Stabilopod is a creative solution born out of local need and a symbol of how local intelligence can adapt and surpass established models. Thank you for watching. Bye!
The sand dunes of Corralejo in Fuerteventura, Spain, rise above white beaches and turquoise waters, creating a stunning natural park. UNN Field Messenger Emma explores this iconic Canary Islands landscape.
Hi, this is Emma. I'm a field messenger for United Network News, filming from the sand dunes in Corralejo, Fuerteventura, Spain, in Europe. This report is going to be about the sand dunes of Corralejo on Fuerteventura. The Parque Natural de las Dunas de Corralejo is one of the most visited natural areas on Fuerteventura and the largest sand dunes in all of the Canary Islands. With miles of sand and near white sand beaches, clear turquoise waters, huge dunes, and a contrasting volcanic landscape, it's a real natural gem of the Canary Islands. A lot of activities are going on in the sand dunes. It is a popular tourist attraction, and tour operators stop there so people can take pictures and feel the sand, take their shoes off and walk around. Everything to dune buggies and large tourist buses stop along the most accessible places and areas. This natural park covers around 24 square kilometers, including the beaches, large shifting sand dunes, and the volcanic landscape to the south. It is known locally as Grandes Playas, which means the big beach. The 10-kilometer stretch of coastline is actually made out of a number of smaller beaches. These white sandy beaches have very few rocks and clear turquoise waters. very clear water and very good temperatures for swimming and bathing. The dunes are composed of 90% organic material, also called coral sand, that have been formed thanks to the bioerosion of limestone, skeletal material of marine organisms. The wind that constantly blows transforms marine organisms into many small grains. Often due to the corallivores, such as parrotfish, which actually excrete sand after digestion. However, the term coral in the coral sand is used loosely in the sense to mean limestone of recent biological origin. Corals are not the dominant contributors of sand particles to most such deposits. Rather, coral sand is a mix of coral and remnants of skeletal fragments of calcareous algae and crustaceans. Because it's composed of limestone, the coral sand is acid soluble. The coral sand does not get hot in the sun due to its mineral content. This makes it very comfortable to lay on and to walk on. People very often take their shoes off and get grounded walking for hours on these popular beaches. The area was designated as a national park in 1982, together with the small island of Los Lobos, located just off the coast of Corralejo. Unfortunately, 2 large hotels were built in this protected space. These beaches and sand dunes offer a postcard view with white sand and turquoise waters. It is the perfect place to put your toes in the sand, relax and enjoy the fresh ocean air and 360 days of sunshine. It's the best place to take amazing pictures. A memory that will get you through the cold winter, especially if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the report. See you next time. Bye.
Now it's your turn. Join our weekly meetings and become a field messenger. More information is available at our website, unitednetwork.earth. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.